I understood something was fundamentally wrong the moment Nathan called the server room, the internet basement, and asked if we could just add more megabytes to fix latency. That should have been my first indication that the upcoming investor demonstration was heading for a catastrophic disaster. But no, my first genuine clue came 3 days later, when Douglas, my manager with all the emotional intelligence of a damp sock, told me to sit outside during the biggest investor pitch of the quarter while the chief executive officer's son presented my work. Let me paint you a picture. I was 3 sips into my burnt office coffee. We're running quality assurance on our real-time analytics dashboard before the investor meeting went. Douglas strolled in holding a styrofoam cup like it made him powerful. His eyes slid right past me like I was a dusty monitor in the corner. "Hey, Amanda," he said, smirking like a raccoon who found an open trash can. "Nathan's going to handle the demo today. The big optics play. Investors love seeing the next generation involved. We'll need you to just, be available. Maybe wait outside the boardroom." I stared at him, deadpan. "Available? Where exactly?" Douglas chuckled. Like just around in case something needs plugging in. There's a special kind of rage that bubbles when someone talks to you like you're a sentient surge protector. I blinked slowly, smiled tighter than my tea. Virtual private network firewall, and said, "Sure thing, Douglas. I'll be available." As I packed my laptop, I caught Nathan practicing buzzwords like he was auditioning for middle school spelling bee. Elastic infrastructure. No, wait. Scalable? Yeah, scalable throughput. He adjusted his tie and winked at me like we were in on some inside joke. We weren't. He didn't even know what throughput was. That's when it hit me. This wasn't neglect. This was a deliberate erasure. And I'd seen it coming. I didn't rage, didn't cry. I walked out of that office with a calm only a woman who's been underestimated for 15 years can perfect. By the way, if you've made it this far and you're feeling even 10% of the rage I felt in that moment, do me a favor. Smash that like button and hit subscribe. Seriously, 90% of people who hear stories like this never subscribe. And it really helps the team keep exposing these glorious implosions of corporate stupidity. Back to Douglas and Nathan. See, what they didn't know was that I had been laying bricks in the foundation of that dashboard for years. Our backend, my architecture, permissions built by me, live graphs that would be used to dazzle the investors, all routed through credentialed query chains that, if left untouched, would silently expire unless authenticated by the root too. Ken, which lived, funny enough, inside my encrypted keychain. But sure, send. In Nathan with his tooth-whitened smile and freshly printed business cards that still smelled like office supply store. I could have made a scene. Could have called Douglas out. Could have outed Nathan mid-sentence and reminded the room that I'd been up until 2 anti-meridium, 3 nights straight tuning the anomaly detection engine to avoid false positives. But instead I sat in the lobby, quiet, composed, and watched from my phone as the internal metrics dashboard started logging queries from the demo server. It made me laugh, honestly, not the warm kind. The kind you make when the universe gives you an open field, a match, and says, "Go ahead." The investor deck they were using still included the live demo environment. Douglas, in his infinite wisdom, had told Nathan to just click around and talk confidently. Nathan, the human professional networking post that he is, agreed. Neither of them realized that without my certificate, those graphs were set to time out after 60 minutes of non-root validation. And guess what no one had? I checked the logs, watched the queries run, saw the expiration timestamp ticking down like a bomb in a spy movie. Then I tucked my phone away and went for a walk. There's a difference between being invisible and being underestimated. They thought I was unplugged, forgotten, just a tired information technology woman in flats and an oversized hoodie. But I wasn't gone. Andy was just waiting. Douglas didn't even have the decency to lower his voice. I was finishing my final notes on the authentication handler because, yes, even an hour before the pitch, I was still cleaning up their mess when he popped into my cubicle like a dollar store jack-in-the-box. "Hey, Amanda," he started, voice soaked in fake warmth. "Small change. Nathan's going to run point on the demo. Executives think it'll really land better if he walks them through the platform. Family vision, legacy, all that jazz. I didn't say anything, just stared at him, blinking slowly like my brain was buffering. He grinned wider. We still need you nearby, of course, in case something. Hiccups. So, maybe hang in the lobby, be available, if we need a little tech backup. Tech backup? I wanted to say 1,000 things, most of them involving a human resources violation and a blunt instrument, but I didn't. I closed my laptop, stood up slowly, and smiled. Not the fake workplace smile, the one that means something is about to detonate. And I hope you're wearing flame-resistant khakis. Of course, I said. Wouldn't want to interfere with the legacy. Douglas nodded, clearly pleased he'd diffused the tension he never noticed he caused. And he turned and strutted toward the conference room like he just solved world hunger with a flowchart. I walked past the boardroom glass, slow and calm. Nathan was already inside, flipping through the investor deck on the massive screen, practicing buzzwords he'd stolen from my internal vicus. Cloud-native scalability rolled off his tongue like a kid reading Latin. He had my diagrams, my dashboards on full display. He had no idea how much of it hinged on a backend system that would soon ask for a certificate key he did not possess. That's when my smile widened. See, when I built the demo environment, I built it like I built everything, secure. Not just to keep out hackers, but to keep out morons. The real-time graphs were wired to a live data stream, one that required tokenized authentication every hour, tied to my admin chain. And the visualizations? They were connected to a cloud runner I sandboxed months ago. Something I kept separate from the shared development operations paths, because, surprise, Douglas once tried to override a credential and nearly tanked our quality assurance system. They thought they'd get the dog and pony show without the dog. I took a seat in the lobby, not near the windows, not by reception, just across from the hallway, where I could see the shadow of Nathan gesturing wildly inside the room. He was probably explaining event triggers to a group of investors with more money than sense, and Douglas likely nodding along, arms crossed like a proud father, watching his son recite multiplication tables he didn't understand. I pulled out my phone, opened the monitoring application, watched the authentication logs scroll past like credits in a movie I'd already seen. Query accepted. Session active. Token valid. Timestamp 53 minutes remaining. Everything was running perfectly. For now. And that's the thing about systems built by people who know what they're doing. They work exactly as designed until they don't. I stood up, stretched, and wandered toward the building's coffee cart. Ordered a latte. Extra shot. The barista, a college student named Marcus who always asked about my day, handed me the cup with a smile. Big meeting today? He asked. Something like that, I replied. Hope it goes well. Me too, I said. And I meant it. Just not in the way he thought. By the time I returned to my lobby seat, the timer in my head had hit 42 minutes. Nathan was mid-presentation now. I could see him through the glass, pointing at a live graph showing real-time data processing. The investors were leaning forward, engaged. Douglas stood in the corner, chest puffed out like he personally coded every line. I sipped my latte and waited. 38 minutes. Nathan clicked to the next slide. A dashboard overview showing system performance metrics. The graphs were still live, still updating, still beautiful. I'd built those visualizations myself. Spent weeks making them intuitive, responsive, elegant. And Nathan was taking credit for every pixel. 35 minutes. One of the investors asked a question. Nathan answered confidently, incorrectly, but confidently. Douglas nodded along like Nathan had just solved quantum physics. I watched the authentication log on my phone. Token, refresh attempt in 3 minutes. No authorized user detected. 32 minutes. Nathan was explaining scalability now, using words like elastic infrastructure and horizontal scaling without understanding what they meant. The investors were eating it up. Douglas looked like he might burst from pride. 29 minutes. I finished my latte. Checked my email. Responded to a message from a recruiter. 26 minutes. Nathan clicked to the demo portion. Now, let me show you the platform in action, he said, his voice projecting through the glass. This was it. 23 minutes. He navigated to the live dashboard. The real-time graphs were still functioning. Data flowing beautifully across the screen. The investors murmured approval. 20 minutes. 19. 18. Away. I put my phone away. Stood up. Walked toward the exit. Not rushed. Not dramatic. Just a woman leaving for lunch. The security guard nodded as I passed. Have a good one, Amanda. You too, Richard. I stepped outside into the sunshine. The city noise washed over me. Car horns. Distant sirens. The hum of people living their lives. I walked 3 blocks to a park. Sat on a bench. Pulled out my phone. Opened the monitoring app. Token expiration in 12 minutes. The dashboard was still running. Nathan was still presenting. Everything was perfect. 11 minutes. End of the line. 9. I ordered a sandwich from a food truck. Turkey and avocado. 8 minutes. The vendor handed me the sandwich with a smile. I sat back down on the bench. 7 minutes. Took a bite. 6. 5 dive. 4 Mars tea. 5 wearing. 7. 2. 1. 0. I. Somewhere across town in a boardroom filled with million-dollar investors and executive egos, every single graph on Nathan's presentation went dark. Not crashed. Not frozen. Just empty. User key not found. I didn't see it happen. Didn't need to. I designed the error message myself. Clean. Professional. Unhelpful. I finished my sandwich. Checked my phone. No calls yet. Give it 5 minutes. Systems don't panic immediately. First comes confusion. Then troubleshooting. Then denial. Then panic. I was on minute 4 when my phone started buzzing. Douglas. I declined the call. Continued eating. Second call. Declined. Third. Declined. By the 6th call, I silenced my phone entirely. Put it face down on the bench. Watched a squirrel investigate a discarded pretzel. The sun was warm. The park was peaceful. And somewhere in that boardroom, Nathan was probably frantically clicking refresh, while Douglas tried to explain to investors why the revolutionary platform they'd been pitching had suddenly displayed a cryptic error message. I stayed in the park for 2 hours. Read a book on my phone. Watched people walk their dogs. Enjoyed the simple pleasure of not being in an office where my work was stolen and my name was erased. When I finally checked my phone again, I had 23 missed calls. Douglas, 12 times. Nathan, 7 times. An unknown number, twice. An executive assistant, once. HR, once. I opened my messages. 17 texts. Douglas, where are you? Douglas, we need you back here now. Douglas, Amanda, call me immediately. Douglas, this is urgent. Nathan, hey, can you help with something? Nathan, dashboard not working. Nathan, please call. Unknown. T. His is Margaret from Executive Support. Please contact Douglas Anderson as soon as possible. And, we need to discuss your absence during a critical business meeting. Please report to my office when you return. I read them all. Didn't respond to any. Instead, I opened my laptop. Connected to my phone's hotspot. Logged into my personal encrypted server. The one Douglas didn't know existed. The one where I'd been backing up every email, every code commit, every piece of evidence for the past 18 months. I opened a document. Titled, It Resignation Letter. And I started typing. To whom it may concern, effective immediately, I am resigning from my position as Senior Systems Architect at Meridian Technologies. This decision comes after careful consideration of my professional growth and the company's apparent direction regarding technical leadership and acknowledgement. I have built and maintained the core infrastructure for numerous critical systems during my tenure. Documentation regarding system architecture, authentication protocols, and maintenance procedures has been stored according to company policy in shared repositories accessible to authorized personnel. Please note that several systems require specialized knowledge and access credentials that were uniquely assigned to my role. I recommend identifying qualified personnel to assume these responsibilities promptly. I will be available for a brief transition period if necessary, though I understand the company may prefer immediate separation given today's circumstances. Thank you for the opportunity. Regards, Amanda Sullivan. I attached a second document, a comprehensive system audit showing every piece of infrastructure tied to my credentials, every dashboard, every authentication chain, every API integration. Everything Nathan had just tried to demonstrate without understanding how it actually worked. I sent both documents to HRR, CC'd legal, BCC'd my personal email. And then, I did something Douglas probably never expected. I documented everything. Every conversation where my work was minimized. Every meeting where credit was redirected to Nathan. Every email where Douglas had explicitly told me to support Nathan's leadership development by giving him access to my projects. I compiled it all into a single folder, zipped it, backed it up 3 different places, and then I went home. My apartment was quiet, peaceful. I made tea, changed into comfortable clothes, sat on my couch with my laptop, and waited. The calls continued. Douglas called 11 more times. Nathan called 3. An executive number I recognized as the chief executive officer called twice. I called again. I answered none of them. Instead, I opened my professional networking profile, updated my headline, Senior Systems Architect, available for consulting, specialized in authentication infrastructure and security architecture. Within 20 minutes, I had 3 connection requests from recruiters. Within an hour, one had messaged me about a contract opportunity. I responded, set up a call for the following day. And then I did something I hadn't done in years. I relaxed. No midnight deployments. No emergency fixes. No covering for Douglas's incompetence or explaining basic concepts to Nathan. Just silence. It was beautiful. My phone finally stopped buzzing around 8 post-meridium. The last call had been from HR. The voicemail was professional but strained. Amanda, we received your resignation. We'd like to discuss transition, logistics, and address today's technical difficulties. Please contact me at your earliest convenience. I didn't call back. Instead, I opened my encrypted documentation folder, the one titled, Break Glass in Case of Emergency. Inside were months of carefully archived evidence. Slack conversations where Douglas had taken credit for my work. Email threads where he'd promised me leadership opportunities that never materialized. Code commits showing I'd built 97% of the infrastructure Nathan had just tried to present. Performance reviews where I'd received outstanding ratings but minimal raises because budget constraints. And most importantly, system logs showing exactly when and how the authentication tokens had expired. Not because of malicious interference, but because the system was designed to require regular maintenance. From authorized personnel. Personnel like me. Personnel who'd been told to sit in the lobby while someone else took credit for their work. I exported everything to a secure cloud backup, encrypted it, and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up to 41 new emails. Most from Douglas. Subject lines ranging from urgent please, respond to we need to talk to finally desperately, what do you need? I deleted them all. Made coffee. Checked my calendar. I had that recruiter call at 10 ante meridium. At 9:30, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. Delivery driver. Package from Meridian Technologies. I signed for it. Opened it carefully. Inside was a formal letter from HR, a laptop, return kit, and a check for my final paycheck including unused vacation days. The letter was professionally vague. Thank you for your service. We appreciate your contributions and wish you well in future endeavors. Please return all company equipment within 5 business days. No mention of the investor demo. No mention of the system failures. No acknowledgement of anything. Typical. I set it aside. Took my recruiter call. The opportunity was interesting. 6-month contract. Financial services company. They needed someone to audit and rebuild their authentication infrastructure. The rate was 40% higher than my Meridian salary. I accepted. Started the following Monday. And I never looked back. But the story doesn't end there. Because 2 weeks after my resignation, I received an email from someone I didn't recognize. Subject, thank you. Sender, Maria Chen, junior developer. Amanda, I know you probably don't remember me. I was the junior dev who sat 3 cubes over. I just wanted to say thank you. What happened during that investor demo, I know it wasn't an accident. I know you built those systems to require your oversight, and I know Douglas and Nathan had been taking credit for your work for months. After you left, they tried to promote Nathan to lead architect. He lasted 4 days before admitting he didn't understand the code base. They brought in an outside consultant who found your documentation and basically said the entire infrastructure was brilliantly designed, but required someone who actually understood authentication protocols. Douglas got demoted. Nathan got transferred to a non-technical role, and they're now desperately trying to hire someone with your expertise. I'm in the interview process for your old position. Because of how you built those systems, with documentation and clear ownership trails, I was able to prove I'd been working alongside you and learning from you. Thank you for showing me that our work matters, that we don't have to accept being erased. I hope wherever you are now, you're appreciated. You deserved so much better than what they gave you. Best, Maria. I read that email 3 times. Responded simply, Maria, you didn't need me to show you anything. You saw it yourself. Trust your skills. Document your work. And never let anyone make you sit in the lobby while they present what you built. You're going to do great things. Amanda? And meant every word. Because that's the thing about being systematically underestimated. Eventually, you either break or you build. I chose to build. Built systems so integral that removing me meant removing functionality. Built documentation so thorough that my absence was immediately obvious. Built evidence so comprehensive that no one could claim I'd sabotaged anything. I'd simply done my job. Exactly as specified. And when they decided I was non-essential, the systems I'd built proved otherwise. No malice. No hacking. No revenge. Just engineering. 6 months later, I was sitting in a new office. My own office. At my consulting firm. With 3 full-time employees and 2 contract developers. We specialized in authentication, infrastructure, and security architecture. The same work I'd done at Meridian. Except now, my name was on every proposal. My expertise was recognized. And when clients asked who built their systems, they heard my name. Not Douglas's. Not Nathan's. Mine. I had just finished a client call when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me. Hello, Amanda? This is Richard Chen from Westbridge Capital. We were the investment firm at that demonstration at Meridian Technologies. The one that had the technical difficulties. I went very still, I remember. I wanted to reach out personally. After that meeting, we conducted extensive due diligence on Meridian. We discovered that most of their technical capabilities were built by you. And that you'd recently departed. That's correct. We also discovered that the company had been systematically minimizing your contributions and misrepresenting their technical leadership structure. Also correct. He paused. Miss Sullivan, we terminated our investment discussions with Meridian, but we're very interested in discussing potential investment in your consulting firm. Would you be open to a conversation? I smiled. I'm always open to conversations with people who do their due diligence. Excellent. How's next Tuesday? Tuesday works perfectly. I hung up, sat back in my chair, and for the first time in 15 years, I felt something close to vindication. Not because Meridian had failed, but because I'd succeeded. Built something real. Something mine. Something no one could take credit for. Douglas never called again. Nathan, I heard through professional networks, left tech entirely. Went into sales. Meridian brought in that outside consultant Maria had mentioned. They paid him 3 times my salary to essentially maintain what I'd already built. And me? I built an empire. Not through destruction. Through construction. By being so good at what I did that my absence was catastrophic. By documenting everything so thoroughly that my contributions couldn't be erased. By walking away with my head high and my credentials in my pocket. They thought they could sit me outside while someone else took my spotlight. They forgot that I built the stage. Thanks for watching, you corporate survivors. Hit that subscribe button. Unless you're my old manager, then you're dealing with legacy authentication errors. Good luck with that.